Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Recently, I did a video discussing the video that Bryan Denlinger had made, stating that he wasn't racist. And here's another video he put out sometime after his video against interracial marriage, dealing with the issue of miscegenation laws, anti-miscegenation laws, sodomite marriage, and the Jesuits. And so he's going to read about this. That's laws forbidding different races to marry. And so he's getting to this now. He says, I don't know why he didn't look at this when he was doing his interracial marriage. Of course, miscegenation is not a King James Bible word. But that doesn't seem to bother him in this case. So let's see what he has to say here.
Uh, they talk about some things in here. You can just read this if you want to. But it goes down here and it ties it into Nazi Germany. And goes down through, of course, we're not going to read this whole deal. They go over a couple other countries that had.
See, what a shock that they would tie it into Nazi Germany, who passed laws dealing with racial issues.
Rules and laws that certain citizens were not allowed to marry other people of other races, kindreds, if using the Bible word. But the main article here, anti-miscegenation laws in the United States, just want to read a little bit of this. This is very interesting.
Now, why would he find this interesting? These are illegitimate laws. There shouldn't be a law forbidding marriages between people. And the term itself was used by slave owners against abolitionists, claiming that if you free the blacks, there can be blacks and whites mating everywhere. And that was their accusation against Lincoln. But let's listen to this nonsense.
I'll put this thing over here. It says
123 thumbs up.
Anti-miscegenation laws were a part of American law since before the United States was established and remained so until ruled unconstitutional in 1967 by the U.S. Supreme Court in Loving versus Virginia. Okay, so the other part of the article where they're trying to tie in anti-miscegenation laws with Nazi Germany to kind of demonize the whole thing. America was doing it before America was even a country officially, before the
we had slavery too.
Revolutionary War. So don't tell me that the Nazis were the originators of this whole thing.
Who said that? No one said they were the originators of anything. We know there's always been racism before Nazis. They just took it to the nth degree.
That was around long before the Nazi movement.
So what? So what? Slavery before the Nazi movement in the United States.
Jumping down a few paragraphs here, it says here, however, the active repeal of the laws was not completed until Alabama did so in 2000 after failing to do so in several earlier referendums on that.
By the way, this is what he wants to get out, people, on his DVDs when he says he's being held back on YouTube. This stuff. This is the stuff where he wants a separate area and be whites for whites, blacks for blacks. That's where you do with John Eric Phillips and all that stuff. This is the stuff, and this is what his little cult people are involved in. That's what this is really, the root of this is.
The matter, at the time, nearly 526,000 people voted against the repeal. So in other words, on the federal level, 1967, it was struck down. The anti-miscegenation laws are unconstitutional. And their reasons were pretty ridiculous, but it was basically that blacks and whites could not marry was the anti-miscegenation laws. All the states in America had it at one point in time. The very first to repeal it was actually Pennsylvania, my former home state there.
No, if you look at the laws on this, it's usually against the blacks, sometimes against the American Indian, blacks and Indians. I think it's one time it was against Asians. They had no problem marrying Asians. It was blacks and Indians.
But they repealed it on the federal level in 1967.
He's defending. He wants these miscegenation laws to be in existence, people. This is the guy who's talking about free speech, but he's going to stop you from marrying someone of a different race.
But Alabama fought it until the year 2000. So, I mean, we're not
Good old Alabama boy.
talking very long ago, 16 years ago. There were still laws in America against interracial marriage. That's what's going on there.
What's going on there? He thinks it's fine.
And we're going to see here who helped to get rid of those laws. I know you already know because of the title of the video, but just bear with me for a minute or two. Let's jump down here.
See, this is the argument. Because some bad people help get rid of bad laws, that means the laws were actually good. Just like, you know, they make a big deal about slavery, and that people who are against slavery are, like, for instance, the Quakers and a lot of the abolitionists, people were that, you know, kind of, you know, bringing the kingdom people and that type of thing. It doesn't matter. Slavery had to go. So just because you got some people on the wrong, you know, from different views that are wrong in those different views, doesn't mean that what they're going against is right. That's their bizarre reasoning here. The idea you would keep someone. Now remember, we're church age. We don't have we have separation of church and state. We're supposed to be Baptist, and yet this guy is advocating laws by the state to impose a religious view. A religious view that the races should not mix. That's his religious view, Ruckman's religious view. I'm sure a bunch of other guys that say, no, based on, and there's actually a ruling there. One of the people said that, well, yeah, that's why God put the races apart. They should never come in contact with one another. It's ludicrous. Like nations on wars and trade with one another. Idiotic. What's going on here?
A couple paragraphs. Check this out. In 1685, the French government issued a special Code Noir, I don't probably pronouncing that wrong, restricted to Louisiana, which banned the marriage of Catholics and non-Catholics in that colony. Okay, so they did ban Catholic and non-Catholic marriages. However, interracial cohabitation and interracial sex were never prohibited in French Louisiana. Very interesting there. Situation of the children for your slave.
Why? Why is that interesting? You have state laws. You know, a lot of the states also had gun control. Each branch of the government is supposed to balance the others. If states abuse rights, then the federal government comes in. If the federal government's abusing rights, then the state governments are supposed to balance that and to deal with that. This guy wants to put on it. He throws a tea on it. Get rid of freedom of speech. He's going to tell you, just because the left on this issue here was the one pushing the idea of getting rid of these laws. Therefore, then the laws must have been good because the wrong people were against it.
Followed the situation of the mother. Under Spanish rule, interracial...
That's like saying the communists were against the Nazis, so the Nazis must be good because the communists are bad. This is a simplistic reasoning you get with these people.
Marriage was possible with parental consent under the age of 25 and without it...
This guy's voice. This is, he changes his voice from video to video. Look at this oozing out, he's preaching, wait a minute.
And the partners were older. In 1806, 3 years after the U.S. gained control over the state, interracial marriage was once again banned. So in other words, when the Catholics are in control, their only laws prohibiting things within marriage is you can't marry non-Catholics. But the Catholics, way back in 1685, were allowing interracial marriages.
Oh, well, this must mean interracial marriage is bad because the Catholics approved it. The reasons Catholics don't allow non-Catholics to marry is because that's part of their religion. He wants them to make this racial issue, which he has part of his religion. This is his religion, people. This is not King James Bible. This is his rotten religion. He wants to make that a law and keep it a law.
In the States.
You wonder why people think King James Bible people are kooks? Guys like this. Guys like Peter Ruckman.
They control under the French and under the Spanish. Both peoples there have been controlled by Catholicism for a long time.
Okay, Brian, what does that mean? The idea
Very
is
interesting.
there shouldn't be laws against people intermarrying.
And I know somebody out there is probably saying, Wikipedia is not really the greatest source. Well, see, if I was going to Wikipedia to prove find articles in favor of something, well, then yeah, I would agree with that. But this is Wikipedia writing against the anti-miscegenation laws, making it look like it's a bad thing and whatever. So,
In other words, he's for those laws.
they're going to tell the truth and to try and demonize the thing. Whoever wrote the article, I'm saying. But we'll go down here a little bit further. Okay, down here you get into Loving versus Virginia. We'll look about that in a minute here, what that's all about. But it says here, all bans on interracial marriage were lifted only after an interracial couple from Virginia, Richard and Mildred Loving, began a legal battle in 1963 for the repeal of the anti-miscegenation law, which prevented them from living as a couple in their home state of Virginia. The Lovings were supported, look at this, by the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. There's a problem there.
So what?
The Japanese American Citizens League, and a coalition of Catholic bishops.
So they can be right. They were right in this case. They were more right than you are trying to impose your religion on people in that state. I told you the reason we have freedom of religion in this country wasn't for the major denominations, because they wanted to still set up a state church. It was the people on the outside, like the Baptists and the Quakers, who fought against that. Let me go ahead and stop it here and put this up, and then go get some noise outside and deal more with this. Remember, this guy wants to take away your freedoms. And then he claims not to be a racist, but he's for these type of laws that ban interracial marriage. So we can stop here. Amen. Thank you.